and I think that's the last thing to leave any fighter, the punch power. So Nonito, I've seen him putting guys, as I said before, putting guys to sleep. So I'll need to be on my game. I'll need to be switched on from start to finish. But he's not a one-trick pony. He can do a lot of things. So I'll need to be ready for different situations that are going to crop up in the fight.
And with the possibility.
Oh wait, let me stop it right there. So the press conference was maybe about 7 hours or so ago. I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. April 21st is a pretty big day for boxing. You have this fight, Nonito Donaire, 35 years old, taking on Carl Frampton in Belfast. I like to call it Belfast. People are like, it's Belfast. I know, but it's a very good international fight. Nonito Donaire, yeah, he had some hiccups with a Nicholas Walters who was just too big for him, too powerful. He tried to trade with him, and he got himself knocked out. Guillermo Rigondeaux just outboxed him. But he has a Hall of Fame resume, and outside of those two defeats, the Jesse Magdaleno fight, I don't know how you interpret that. That was a loss that you can't make an excuse for, and people were like, okay, well, he's done. Now, I'm not saying I'm making an excuse for him losing to Rigondeaux. Rigondeaux was better than him. Rigondeaux outboxed him. Nicholas Walters was too big for him, too strong for him. Jesse Magdaleno, people were like, okay, Donaire is done. That is not the case. And also, if you notice, in this day and age, being 35 years old is not old in boxing. You know, not anymore. I would say in this day and age, 45 is old in boxing. I think you can say that even though, you know, a lot of those older boxers be on some type of performance-enhancing drug, as we've seen, you know, to keep their body where it needs to be. But 40 is not old anymore, you know. But Carl Frampton has options. Carl Frampton now has a big, large platform with BT Sport Boxnation. He was signed by Frank Warren. He is still with Al Heyman from everything I've gathered. One thing you can see is that Nonito Donaire is promoted by Richard Schaefer. Richard Schaefer and Al Heyman are very, very close. Richard Schaefer, the former, let me not do Carl Frampton like this with this thumbnail.
Let's see if.
There we go. Richard Schaefer, former CEO of Golden Boy Promotions. He's very successful. He's also one of the chairmen or ambassadors for the World Boxing Super Series. So very, very powerful figure in boxing. So him working together with Frank Warren. We've seen Al Heyman fighters fighting on Frank Warren cards. You know, such as Gervonta Davis, who's Mayweather Promotions, but he's advised, managed by Al Heyman, such as James DeGale, who lost to Caleb Truax, and then you see Carl Frampton. Now, people wonder, well, you know, still people are asking questions over here in the United States. Is, you know, Carl Frampton a fighter who left Al Heyman? That is, you know, I don't think so. You know, it doesn't seem like that to me. But however, he hasn't been thinking Al Heyman, but whatever the case may be, we're talking about this fight and the fact that even though Carl Frampton is the favorite because people think Nonito Donaire is washed up, Carl Frampton can lose. Nonito Donaire is not a Horatio Garcia. Nonito Donaire is not a Chris Avalos, and Nonito Donaire could definitely hang in there with guys like Leo Santa Cruz, and I think he can beat Abner Maris. That was a super fight 3 years ago. Nonito Donaire is a former multi-division unified champion. Pound for pound, former pound for pound. He was running through divisions at one point in time. And I've covered all of his fights since, what, 2010? You know, I'm familiar with him as a fighter. You know, and that's like it is with all these fighters, just like I've been covering Carl Frampton since 2011. By the way, for those who don't know, I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. We're going to play this little bit right here from the press conference. You can go to the BT Sport Boxing Twitter page and watch it in its entirety.
Lee Selby or Josh Warrington, or who knows down the line, maybe Leo Santa Cruz in that third rubber meeting. I mean, there's so much on the line, isn't there?
Yeah, there is a lot on the line. I think I spoke to Frank Warren today, who couldn't make it, obviously, with the weather conditions, and he's talking about trying to make this fight a final eliminator for the WBO as well. So that's another option. Obviously, Selby and Warrington can happen. We're all with the same team. you know, Quig Valdez, the winner of that potentially as well, if it's a final eliminator for the WBO. But again, these are all things that are in the future, and there's only one fight that I'm focused on at the minute, and if I don't win this fight, then these things don't happen. So only one guy on my mind at the minute, and that is the guy sitting to your left.
I mean, that's a really valid point, is it not? Now, go back and watch Nonito Donaire fights. Yeah, Carl Frampton is good. You know, I'm a big Carl Frampton supporter. But, you know, in his last couple of fights, he hasn't looked good. And you can, you know, equate his performance against Horacio Garcia, even though he won the fight, to what's going on with him, you know, changing everything. He changed his entire team, promotional team, management team, and his training team. You know, new trainer Jamie Moore. You know, big domestic name fighter over there in the UK. You know, he signed with Marbella, right? And then with Frank Warren. You know, there's something going on with his former promoter, Cyclone, that I've got some details on. But obviously, you know, we don't know what the motherfuck's going on. You know, I'm not them. But obviously, these things, like, always lead to some type of money. You know? There's always some type of money involved and things like that. But there's some type of lawsuit brewing. You know, remember, he was trained by Shane McGuigan. And he was promoted by the father in Barry McGuigan, Cyclone. So obviously, with that family situation, if you beefing with one and having some issues with one, then you gotta cut, you know, both of them, because one of them either the father or the son. You know, ain't nothing gonna be between you and them for real. You can't trust it. So if Carl Frampton was to lose, it would be devastating. He has to have his best training camp, because why? You can say he had the two big Leo Santa Cruz fights. You can say he had that big Scott Quigg fight. But if he loses this fight, you know, he's got to go back and rebuild. Now, of course, he's not done, you know, and of course he can fight, and of course he is skilled. But Donaire is skilled, and y'all can't look at his age and those losses and be like, yeah, you know. For example, let's go look at a little bit of Nonito Donaire highlights. Let me pull these over here for you. Let me see. What was I doing? I think I'm going to have to get some more memory. I think I'm pushing my super PC to the limit. The processor and everything is cool, but I was supposed to upgrade the memory like as soon as I got it, like especially with all this stuff I'm doing with these uncut, unedited videos.
Matabula with that right hand, I guarantee that's why Matabula's not punching now.
He looks like he broke his jaw, Roy, the way he's hanging open.
Fighting through a broken jaw, Matabula lasted all 12 rounds. Later, he's one of the top pound from the same island in the Philippines that produced Manny Pacquiao. He was a shy introvert, bullied on the schoolyards of California's Bay Area. Now, 20 years later, he's one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in boxing and was widely chosen as 2012's Fighter of the Year. Here now, Nonito Donaire's greatest hits. February 2011. Donaire challenged Fernando Montiel for the bantamweight title. The Filipino Flash showcased his speed and power early in a fight that wouldn't make it out of the second round.
Good right hand and a left, drops Montiel! And Russell Moore is gonna let it continue. Now he stops it. Nonito Donaire with a counter left after absorbing a right. He's on top of the world tonight.
February 2012. Following a win over Omar Narvaez, Donaire moved up to 122 pounds and faced off with Wilfredo Vasquez Jr. for a vacant belt.
This was a big fight back there.
Donaire found an opening in round 3.
And he rips Vasquez with a left hook lead. Can he finish him now?
That just shows how much power that he has for a small fighter.
Vasquez gets out of the corner and kind of grins as if that's a victory.
An overly cautious Vasquez finally began engaging in the middle rounds.
By the way, we're going to be providing full coverage for this fight, thanks to my partner over there in Ireland, Mikey, and Gary over there. You know, they was at the Gary was at the press conference today, so I'm going to be uploading this stuff. And of course, as we go on, for people who think, oh, why you only showing? Why you only? I'm sorry. You know, I'm just getting over fighting a cold. Even though I had the flu last month, I was fighting a cold from going on. Like, I got a real, you know, baby immune system. But I've been taking these one-a-day vitamins, and I haven't been drinking any like sugary drinks or anything. I mean, like soda or anything like that. But anyway, moving on. We're going to be providing full coverage for this fight, so therefore expect this to be, right now I believe this is video number 3 so far I've done on Frampton versus Donaire. So expect for all, before this is all said and done, maybe to be 20, maybe 30 videos on Frampton versus Donaire. So, you know, of course we're going to, you know, be watching more highlights of Donaire. You know, he about to knock him the fuck out. That's Jeffrey Matabula. And I covered all these fights on YouTube. You know, oh, but anyway, as you can see, Nonito Donaire hits hard. You know, and he himself, looking at the storyline on, damn it, let me finish my point. I was going to say is, you know, people be thinking that I be having like a personal attachments to these boxers, not understanding that I do all of my videos live and uncut. And I look at it like this. Like some days I might be like, man, he gonna get knocked the fuck out. Other days I may be like, oh, well, yeah, you know, he's gonna win. But I'm calling it like I see it. You know, there's no scripts, no nothing. You know, so it may seem like I'm being impartial or not fair to call Frampton, but you'd be surprised. Maybe a video two months from now or closer to the fight, I'm gonna be like, man, but you know, Call Frampton gotta move. You know, he's gotta stay on his bike, and you know, he can't chill on the ropes because Nonito Donaire has power. His defense has to be sharp, and Nonito Donaire, in my opinion, you know, is going to be the bigger fighter. You know, he does have the height difference, and I'm talking about overall in the ring. And if I was to rate power, I would say that I feel that Call Frampton has the better foot movement. He has the better hand speed. He sometimes, you know, fades later in fights. Donaire is not known for fading in fights. In fact, you know, he will knock you the fuck out. You know, it isn't, you know, if it doesn't go the distance. So, you know, it's so many different ways you can look at the fight. Let's take that off. You know, so I don't want people to think that, you know, Jesus Christ, the cough drop. I'm sorry, y'all. Huh. Jesus Christ. But I don't want you to think that I'm just like, oh, well, yeah, you know, Call Frampton. Damn it. I'm going to have to restart my, oh, this is what it is. Y'all can't see it. I'm doing too much. Y'all can't see it. Let me stop that. My bad. I know what it was. But, you know, on the other end of things, like I was saying, if you look at Donaire where he is, if he beats Call Frampton, he gets the same opportunities that Call Frampton was supposed to get, like the winner of Leo Santa Cruz versus Abner Maris 2, which is supposed to happen in likely April. You know, Abner Maris gave an update to the WBA. Then you have Valdez versus Quigg. You know, you already heard Call Frampton say that, you know, they're trying to get Nonito Donaire a spot. I mean, they're trying to get, basically, Donaire right now is currently not ranked by the WBO.
There's a part of you which would
so
say,
I'm going to run this back while I go
ask the
cough
question,
and hack
but
up
if
my
something went wrong,
hack my lungs
there's a
out.
part of you would say,
I'll be right back.
And put back as well.
In like 2 minutes, maybe less
as
than
well.
that.
If it's a final eliminator, back as sell
as a knockover job. Certainly not. I mean, from your perspective as a boxer, when you look at this guy, for people who've not seen him fight and maybe don't know too much about him, just describe what you see as his strengths and what you've got to come up, what you've got to better.
Well, there's fighters who have kind of certain styles and are good at one or two things. Nonito, I think, can do a bit of everything. He's a slick boxer when he wants to be, but he's got devastating KO power, and I think that's the last thing to leave any fighter, the punch power. So Nonito, I've seen him putting guys, as I said before, putting guys to sleep. So I'll need to be on my game. I'll need to be switched on from start to finish. But
yeah, he don't want to go to sleep, but we already saw that part already at the beginning of the video. This is the part that I wanted to show y'all, the rankings for the divisions. Let's go full screen. Okay, so here's the WBO rankings right now. These are current, as you can see. Nonito Donaire is not ranked. For those who don't know, I know the people who do know sometimes get pissed when I keep repeating the same shit, but you'd be surprised how many people don't know that if you're a champion, whether it's the WBC, whether it's the WBA, IBF, or WBO, the only people you can defend your championship against is somebody in the top 15. You see what I'm saying? That's why Danny Garcia got so much shit for fighting Rod Solka, because Rod Solka wasn't even ranked, and he was a smaller fighter coming up. But in this case, you heard Carl Frampton say that Frank Warren was basically working the phones with WBO, to try to get this to be a title eliminator for the winner of Oscar Valdez and Scott Quigg. You can see Jojo Diaz is number 1. Also, let me point this out. A lot of people think just because you're ranked number 1 that means that you're the number 1 contender. No, it doesn't. If you're ranked number 1, that means somebody has to fight you to be considered the mandatory, even though when you're the mandatory, you're still going to be ranked number 1. So it's kind of weird, but Jojo Diaz had already said that he's going after Gary Russell, and basically Gary Russell's team has been contacted, and they're trying to do this fight in May, even though it's Golden Boy and an Al Heyman fighter. But it is happening, and it can happen. Al Heyman and Golden Boy do work together. We've seen it with Chavez Jr. We've seen it with Amir Khan, in smaller fights too that I'm not going to mention right now, but. The winner, whether it's Carl Frampton or Nonito Donaire, has this Oscar Valdez versus Scott Quigg winner they can go after. They got the Lee Selby versus Josh Warrington fight. The winner of this is likely going to be announced soon. These are all under the same promotional, right? Stable. You got Leo Santa Cruz, Abner Maris, WBA World right here, WBA Super World, taking place, like I said, in April or May. And then you have the winner of this. So Carl Frampton and Donaire have a lot of options, because with this 126-pound division, the champions are all in cahoots with the champions, promoters, management teams, and networks are all in cahoots. So there's nothing political from stopping any of these fights. You see what I'm saying? With the exception of how Jojo Diaz plays in. So... video's too damn long. I should have did my little coffin. I should have had my coffin fit, at the beginning of the video. Then we probably would have been able to get more done. But anyway, I got to end this video now. I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. As I said, expect more videos on this. If any legitimate or significant news comes out, then I'm going to talk about it. Also, shout out to Tyrone McKenna. A fighter's journey, one of the guys who does a segment on FightView 360 for a fighter's journey, and Eat Naked. Shout out to Mikey and Gary, who's going to be providing coverage for the fight. If you're interested in helping out and helping us cover any of these fights anywhere in the world, we got some big things planned for 2018, and I'm finally getting caught up on things and getting things running to where it's a machine. As you can see, my video output has increased. Now I'm trying to get this whole website taken care of, man. But anyway, please subscribe, or if you have any questions, or concerns, or if you're willing to help out, the email is right down below in the description box. It's info@FightView360. That is my email. That is how you reach me. TstreeT Controversy. TstreeT Controversy Live.